Hey, it's A Dog's Life with Angela Ardolino, and today I am joined by the essential oils vet. And I love that because essential oils, as you know, my favorite essential oil is cannabis. And so I always love how much, well, I shouldn't say love. I find it completely ridiculous on all the controversy behind essential oils. It reminds me of all the controversy that's behind cannabis. And you got to think that it's probably the same reason, and that is because these beautiful plants have these wonderful properties that help us. And because they exist in nature and they're easily accessible, a pharmaceutical company can't take them and make billions of dollars off of them. Actually, there have been companies who have taken oils from a plant or certain compounds or terpenes and have changed the oil from the plant and then made them dangerous, which then gives them a bad name for the real stuff. But that's what's so awesome about my guest today, Dr. Janet Roark, right? Am I saying it Roark?
Yes, that's exactly how you
Good.
say
I
it.
wanted
Yep.
to make sure. And you have become kind of the expert in this realm, which I love because we need this. And you have basically educated yourself and used essential oils for not only yourself, but after they worked for yourself, that's when you went, hey, maybe this is good. I'm a veterinarian. Let me see if this works on animals. Is that kind of how it happened?
Yeah, that's pretty much how it happened. I was kind of I was using essential oils for myself for my own health, support. I was actually on a bunch of different pharmaceuticals and having some side effects from those that were not so great. And a friend of mine introduced me to some really, really high quality essential oils, and so I started using them. And when I started seeing benefits and the fact that I was able to get off of all of my medications, I was like, maybe there's something to this stuff. And I started doing the research. I am a self-proclaimed super nerd. So I was like
Yay.
looking at all of the different research articles out there, which there was a ton of. I cannot believe how much research there is out there now compared to what there was like 20 years ago. And there's just more and more. And it's really amazing what we're learning from these plants and the compounds from them that have so many benefits, right? And yes, the pharmaceutical companies are kind of like, ooh, how can we harvest this and use this to benefit our pockets, instead of just leaving well enough alone, because an essential oil is many different compounds, and it has a lot of synergy between those different compounds. And so when you start to take it apart and try to get the best of one compound, you're not going to have the same effect as with the full entire oil from that plant. And so yeah, when I started using them on myself, I started using them with my own animals. And then I had a client finally, probably about 6 months after I was digging into all the research and learning as much as I could about it. I thought it was very fascinating. I had a client that was like, Dr. Roark, is there something else we can use besides what we have been using? And I said, well, there's these essential oils that I've been researching, and, we can try it. And if it doesn't work, we can always, go back to some traditional Western modalities if we need to. And they did work very quickly, within an hour for that particular, it was a horse I was working on. And I was driving away from that farm, and I just remember thinking, wow, I guess I use essential oils in my practice now. That was amazing. So, and I just haven't looked back, and have really enjoyed learning. It's a never ending process, learning is for me. And I hope it is for all of you and all your listeners, because I think we never really know everything, and having open-minded about new ways of approaching health for our animals in particular is really important, because we don't know everything, and sometimes we stumble upon solutions like I did with essential oils, and then it becomes part of what we do and who we are. And really, I would not want to practice any other way. If you took my essential oils away from me, I think I'd probably be devastated. So
And I love that because this is another thing that, of course, you weren't taught anything about in school.
That's right.
So nobody probably even mentioned it or you even thought of it. It wasn't until you started using them yourself, they were like, well, if it works for me, then it probably, that to me is one of the best things that pet parents could do, is
Yeah.
understand of how close they are to us. They're different, but how,
But a
age,
cell
getting
is,
older.
yep, a
Yeah.
cell is still a cell. That's the thing.
Yeah, a
Yep.
cell is still a cell. I love it. We need to make a t-shirt for you. Because it's true. And these things that exist in nature for a reason.
Exactly.
And they do lots of wonderful things. And if we just use them in their full natural form, then we'll be able to benefit from them.
100%.
The problem is that we have too many people that want to take and do things with them, which then give them a bad name.
Yep.
For instance, if you were to Google lavender essential oil into Google, you will see that it will kill your animal. And you'll even see it from very, reputable sources.
Yep.
The problem is what's going to kill your animal is something that you buy on the internet or Amazon.
Yep.
That is not a lavender essential oil at all. It is, made up or tried to smell like, or whatever it is. It's not pure. So how the heck did you find a brand that you trusted in, or how does a pet parent know? Like, if, of course, a lot of the listeners are holistic and want to learn, and we don't need to know that it's good. We already know essential oils. Most of them are amazing, and we'll talk about the dangerous ones later.
Yeah.
But how the heck do we pick one and know that we're picking one? Like cannabis industry, hemp industry.
Same thing. Yep.
That's what we usually say.
Yeah.
So tell us, can we go, we want a certificate of analysis for this bottle of lavender essential oil. And if you do, we want to know.
So yes, you can. So you can get a GCMS test done on any essential oil, but I would really recommend just staying away from, like what you said, like Amazon, and bless Amazon though, like they're great for a lot of things, but not essential oils, and not so I don't even think they allow selling of any kind of CBD or cannabis or anything like that on Amazon.
So if you're buying CBD online on Amazon, you are
not getting that
CBD product.
Exactly. So
it's hemp seed, maybe might be some hemp seed, and if you're lucky, it might be some pure hemp seed, but you're probably not getting that.
And there's some benefit to that too, but so yeah, be careful of that. Don't get it from a grocery store, buy it from a reputable source. And there are companies that do publish publicly their test results, and you can access that online. You should be able to look on the bottom of your essential oil. There should be a lot number, and you can type that in and actually look that up. There are some companies that are very transparent about that and freely give that information, even though that's a lot of work to upload all of those test results when they run a test on every single lot. Know also where the company is growing those plants. That's another really important factor. Where they're growing plants is, because that affects the therapeutic qualities of the essential oil from that plant. Because lots of things can affect the growth of a plant. The soil, how depleted the soil is, and is it done organically, and are there any fertilizers or anything used on it? And
so is it like cannabis or hemp, where these tests will show if those items are in it? Like,
yes.
Okay, good. So when we test for hemp, it shows us that it is a full spectrum product.
Yep.
And it also shows us what's not in it: pesticides, herbicides,
contaminants.
Yep,
exactly. Yep.
So all those things are important, because again, guys, we're dealing with a plant, a natural product, and there's a right way of doing things and there's a wrong way of doing things.
There is, and everyone wants to jump on the bandwagon because it's not regulated by the FDA. So everyone's like, well, we can make our own essential oil, and they just make synthetic fragrances, or they take some essential oil and add a whole bunch of junk in with it. And then that junk in with it is adulteration, and it can that's the stuff that can really, really harm animals. And so when you hear these stories of animals getting hurt by essential oils, which there aren't very many, by the way, it's the same one that circulates every year. It's okay. It is likely because, one, they either used poor quality essential oil that really wasn't essential oil at all, or they used way, way too much of it, and weren't following some, pretty basic commonsensical guidelines, or they, it was adulterated. I think I already said that. So it's all of these things you need to factor in when you're selecting your essential oil. And when you find a really good brand like I did, it's you learn to trust them. But on the same token, I still look at test results, even though it's a brand I trust. So
yeah. Exactly, because as we know, and it's funny because Mondays are my podcast day, so I forget that everybody doesn't know everyone else I talk to today. But yeah, we need to remember that even though we have found a brand that we trust, we want to continuously make sure that that is a brand that we trust, because brands get sold, and sometimes they get sold and out of control of the person who intentionally started that company a certain way. Stuff can change because they want to make more money. And I love it because you are our essential oils vet, which is awesome, because that's who we need to ask about these questions. But I love it. There is so much controversy online when you type in certain essential oils, or even just essential oils, that, they'll kill our pets and that they're dangerous. And if it is a pure natural oil, that is highly unlikely. And I want people to think about it, that if that was the case, even with a hemp oil, hemp extract, or a marijuana extract, or any of these things, if these things were this dangerous to our pets, they would be dropping dead everywhere. Everyone would be talking about it. It would be all over the internet, and that does not happen. So we do know we can get rid of that fear. And there are a couple, and we know cats are very sensitive, and we'll bring up those. Let's go ahead and get those out of the way.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's talk about why they're dangerous. We have to remember, what is an essential oil?
Yeah, so an essential oil is a volatile aromatic compound, so it evaporates quickly at room temperature, and that's what makes that smells so wonderful when it comes to essential oils. And they are extremely potent, and so that is one thing you always have to remember when it comes to essential oils. It's wonderful because a little goes a really long way, but on the same token, a little can be a lot for a really small animal like a newborn kitten, or your 4-pound puppy. So it's important to remember that they're very potent. They're 50 to 70 times more potent than herbs when we're talking about an essential oil form, and that is part of what makes them kind of like a natural therapy, actually, and very, very, very effective. So you do need to keep that in mind for sure when it comes to essential oils.
And is it such an effective therapy because you're literally inhaling it right up into your bloodstream and brain? And
yeah, so you're breathing it into your lungs, it's getting into your bloodstream that way. It definitely goes directly to the brain and indirectly. So animals, dogs in particular, have a vomeronasal organ, or a Jacobson's organ. So their sense of smell is very, very potent. It's very, very good. So they smell things through normal olfactory receptors like people, which they also have like 300 million compared to our measly 6 million. And then they also smell through their vomeronasal organ, which goes directly into the brain and kind of bypasses the cortex. And so they use that. And when you hear about like pheromones and things like that, that's what they're sensing with that.
So a lot like cannabis, they're super sensitive to it, which means it can really help them. A little will go a long way.
Yep, for sure.
So of course you've studied, you're trying it on your own dogs. You get this patient with the horse. Now, however many years have you been practicing with this? Oh
gosh, it's been at least 7 years now. So
what are some of the best things that happened with your patients? And then what are some of the ones, because I know this still happens, where I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's see what happens. And I'll be
Yep.
like, holy
Wow,
cow.
it's amazing. I know it happens all the time. So
Good.
one of the most common ways I use essential oils with animals is for wound care, and so actually helping healing cuts and bruises and things like that. So that is just a really, really common thing that
And is
happens on
this,
it.
and instead of using an antibiotic or something on
Um,
topical?
yeah, yes, but sometimes you can use it in conjunction with that if it's a really bad situation. And so I'm not one of those people that is going to be like, you can only use essential oils and nothing else. Like that
Right.
is, we have to be, you know, be integrative in our approach to helping our
Yeah.
animals so that we can actually, because sometimes they are going to need surgery, right? Like if you have a
And I
really
love
bad,
that. But you're
yeah,
also not, no essential oils,
right. Yes.
only do
It's like,
this.
let's add all the tools to our toolbox that we can to be the best advocates for our animals. And so, so yeah, I love using, you know, lavender and frankincense, helichrysum for, you know, cuts and scrapes and things like that. And I love, 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 we have a really amazing digestive blend that has a lot of, you know, it's got like peppermint and fennel and caraway seed in it and some others that are really good for digestive support, because that's another huge thing that we see with animals. Like, trust me, if you've got a dog that has things moving along a little too quickly or not fast enough, you're running into problems. And it's really nice to, instead of have to run to the vet for every little thing, to be able to just put a little drop of something on their tummy and make them feel so much better so quickly. So
Well,
it's
and
really
you
kind
know,
of wonderful.
most of them, us who run, well, not us, I don't run to the vet anymore, but those who do run to the vet,
Mm-hmm.
most likely for a digestive upset, are going to be given something that is going to make things worse and not
In the
better,
long term, for
because they
sure,
are
for sure.
not trained in essential oils and they don't know better. But yes, my one of my number one tools that I keep is a digestive blend, and it's good for all of it. So I'll immediately turn to that every time. Um, so what else have you found? Like, I can't even imagine, because I feel like a lot of vets, with every, not every, but so many pet owners come running in when there's a digestive issue and there's
Mm-hmm.
diarrhea, and they want something and they give them the prescription,
Yep,
which wrecks everything. And you know, as Dr. Siegel said, Marlene Siegel, antibiotics are a thing of the past. We
they
have
are.
so many wonderful things that work without wrecking their gut.
Digestive tract, yeah, and just causing all this gut health. I mean, we see so many more digestive problems in animals today, even than when I graduated, you know, we'll say a few years ago. So, so and it's because of that. It's like it seems like so many veterinarians are just like, and I love my veterinarian friends. If you're listening, I love you guys. But like, it's not just about antibiotics and steroids, antibiotics, steroids for everything. There's so many other things out there. Let's find out what we can do to create whole animal health, like holistic health, like to actually treat the patient instead of just the symptoms. You know what I mean? And so I love the physical aspects of essential oils, the benefits that they have. I love using them for my senior animals. We use frankincense, copaiba, turmeric. I mean, everybody's heard these ones, right? Amazing for joints and muscles and, you know, those weak back ends as they get older. And then I also love the emotional and behavioral benefits that essential oils can have on animals. So we're seeing a lot of people got puppies in the last year, you know, because of being home more. And so a lot of these puppies and dogs have not been properly socialized because they were stuck at home and they couldn't, you know, there were no puppy obedience classes or anything like
Right.
that. And so when, as people start to leave, you're starting to see a lot more anxiety, a lot more stress in those animals because they're just not used to quote
Anything.
unquote normal life
Right.
because they haven't been exposed to anything. And so you're seeing a lot more like separation anxiety issues and, you know, even just like, you know, getting sick, just going for a ride in the car because they haven't gone for a ride in the car to go to the park.
Right.
So I love that we have some essential oils that can really help with those stress levels and that anxiety and bringing that down. We have lavender and Roman chamomile and a lot of grounding oils like cedarwood and sandalwood, really, really helpful for just like calming everything down. And copaiba is another one that I really like for for just like kind of those little panic attacks that happen with some animals. So, and you can even give some of them internally. So if you actually look on your bottle, there should be a little supplement facts label on them, because there are some essential oils that are generally recognized as safe according to the FDA rules for that. And so you can actually see that some are actually safe for internal use. So internal, topical, or aromatic use.
Right. I mean, we have a groom shop, daycare shop, and we are seeing all of the COVID puppies that are coming in for the first time, being in special situations. No. So we have CBD Dog Health has a blend that is full spectrum hemp extract with lavender essential oil.
Love it. I love it.
And we're going through a bottle a week because of so much. Like, I've never seen puppies so stressed out before, but they are literally experiencing the outside world for the first time.
Yep, exactly.
And crazy. And then we have to cut their nails and give them a haircut.
I know, right? And you're like, yeah, let me just get right on that.
And we're talking about how to use it, some of the big successes, and you talked about how some could be used internally. So what is like your go-to for something, and then how do you use it internally?
Yeah, so I would say the most common ones I use internally are that copaiba, frankincense, and turmeric essential oil, which comes as an oil, as well as the herb. But those three are just so powerful in just creating a homeostasis, or just like getting that animal back to normal whenever there's anything going on as far as just like discomfort or even just like the stress that we were talking about that has led to disease. Copaiba has benefits that for the heart and the immune system, and the liver and the kidneys actually supports those organs, in addition to being able to support the joints and the digestive system and everything else. So it's one of those, like, it just covers all the bases.
Well, see, so when people go, well, how can hemp do all of these things?
Yeah.
What people don't understand is that these plants have thousands of compounds in them. And when you put those compounds with other plants that have thousands of compounds, they become super synergistic. They're adaptogens, and they literally we take them and we get them in our body, and they literally go throughout our body and take care of problems. That's what they're supposed to do. We just aren't taught this. Nobody, we're never taught about go outside in nature and find your solution or cure or what you need. So it's really cool when you do find it, learn about it, try it in application and actually see that it does what it does. I'm the same way. I learned about essential oils before I learned about cannabis. And then when I learned how cannabis worked, I'm like, it's just another fabulous plant with medicinal oils that do wonderful things.
Yeah, I always tell people, like, these plants and these oils, what they really do is they help the body heal itself. And so it really just helps the body get back to normal, even if it's been a long time since it's felt normal in whatever aspect. So I love that.
And I know we're gonna find out, which I already know this, but what the essential oil people will find out is that it's interacting with the endocannabinoid system.
Yep.
Just like cannabis does or hemp does. So we've got deficiencies going on or problems that have existed for a long time, and you take a blend or a combination, you can literally get rid of that problem quickly. It'll be the first thing that happens. Yep. But just was talking to a blogger who's like, my dog's had this fatty tumor for this long, and I put the salve on, and I can't even tell where it was anymore. And of course, the salve is just made of a whole bunch of essential oils. Yep. So these are like, Mother Nature's medicine cabinet and toolkit. And I wish they would teach it to us in school, but they don't. So I'm glad that you've discovered it and that you're using it. And then better yet, that you're educating all of us about it. My favorite thing about you is your amazing guides. You literally have taken every question and have made a guide to answer it. So I want you to tell our listeners, you've got a couple guides, folks, that makes it so easy. So she doesn't just tell you how it works for her dogs. She talks about cats, rabbits, birds, reptiles, amphibians. You even mentioned fish, which I love.
Yep.
But the air we breathe is so important, and it affects everyone around us.
Yeah.
But what are some safety guidelines that it's very important for our pet parents to know when we start dabbling in these essential oils?
Yeah, so really it's a lot of just common sense. So making sure that, the brand really matters. We already talked about that. When you're diffusing, stick to 3 to 4 drops in your diffuser. Use a water-based diffuser. Leave the room door open so the animal can leave. If it's an oil they don't particularly care for. Stay away from the oils that that are not really that great for
What happens
animals.
if they love it? What
If they
happens
love
if they
it,
love it and they go climb up on the bed and stick their face right under it and inhale it? Is that okay?
that is 100% okay. And actually, that's usually what happens. So a lot of times your pet will go and sleep right next to the diffuser, and that means it's an essential oil that they really need, and they're getting they're getting the benefit as well. And so, but just leaving the room door open so they have that option, so they're not trapped anywhere. And of course, like not putting like 20 drops in your diffuser. If you're putting 20 drops in your diffuser, you're probably using an oil that is not a pure oil, because you shouldn't have to use that much. And then, staying away from the oils that are somewhat harmful to animals in small amounts. Dogs and cats in particular are very sensitive to tea tree oil, which I think is a little bit ironic that it's in a lot of their shampoos and things like that. So, but just know that they can't metabolize that one quite as quickly as humans can, and so it is one to stay away from as much as possible. And then wintergreen and birch are other ones that are just really, really potent, especially if they ingest it. So we don't want them ingesting those particular oils because they can cause some GI discomfort. So.
And if they do have any, they want to see a list or make sure whatever they're using is safe, can they go to your site and find
Yeah,
and what is
absolutely.
that?
Yeah, so it's really simple. I'm not very creative. So it's just essentialoilvet.com. And if you go to, there's some tabs at the top, you can find resources and things like that right there.
So folks, on resources, she's got a dilution guide. She has recipes. She has a resource list, and of course, an entire guide on how to use it for your animals, which is super helpful, along with the brand that you trust and use, I guess, in your practice every day, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And there are a lot of choices. So guys, do your homework, and she has done her homework, so you can trust what she is suggesting. But whatever you see out there, you always don't go pick up a bottle and just buy it. You got to do your research, look for that certificate of analysis. What do they call it in your realm?
So it's just the GCMS test, but yeah, it is a certificate of analysis. Yep.
Right. Mm-hmm. So you just have to say, I want the test that shows me what's in your bottle.
Yep.
And again, they have batches on the bottom of the bottles that match with the certificate of analysis so that you can see what is in that bottle. And if you're using an oil that does not have that, I would get rid of it, because you have no idea what's in there, and they put some pretty bad stuff in it. So again, essentialoilvet.com. Dr. Janet Roark, thank you so much for joining us today.
You
gave us some wonderful
me.
information, and I'm so glad that we have a resource we can trust out there. So thank you.
So wonderful. Thank you so much.
You bet. Thanks.